Greetings, comrades. I'm your host, Bobcat, here in the Art Mines, doing an actual art post. Who knew? I do art stuff also. Forgive me if I sound a little weird or take some weird pauses. I had emergency dental surgery yesterday, and my jaw is, to put it politely, really messed up. So, today, this video is inspired by conversations I've had with people who have seen me working out in the field, drawing, sketching, whatever, and have said, man, I really wish I could be an artist, but I don't have the talent, or I don't have the skill. And if you get nothing else from this video, please understand, the only thing that differentiates you and me as an artist is skill. It's just skill and practice. I've been doing art, making stuff, for a very, very, very long time. That's all. What you need to be an artist is the desire to create and the motivation to put that desire to work practicing creative skills. That's it. That is it. Whether you get shown in a gallery or you make any money off of it, whether it's digital, video, culinary, fabric, painting, illustration, steel sculpture, whatever, those are skill sets. Even making money in marketing and all of that, that's a skill. So it's really just practice. And one of the best ways of practicing is the sketchbook. I carry around a sketchbook with me almost everywhere I go. I've got big ones, I've got small ones, and depending on what you want to do, what you want to get practice in, can help guide you in the kind of sketchbook you want to get. Or some people will make their own sketchbook. This is a handmade watercolor sketchbook. I didn't make it, but has a nice, good toothy paper for super thick paper for watercolor, and it's just fantastic. I take this on traveling. When I go some places, I can do watercolor sketches wherever I go. So, wanted to talk to you about the kind of sketchbook. But also, here's an easy question. What do I draw? Easy answer. Whatever you want. Whatever the hell you want. I take my sketchbook with me, and I like to draw what I see. This was a museum somewhere. But also, I just use it to jot down ideas, different things. This was some stuff for Atlas de los Muertos some time ago. This sketchbook is a spiral-bound sketchbook. This one, the binding is crap, but the paper is great. Paper is great for ink stuff, which is what I like to do. Most of the time, I actually like to draw with a Pentel made in Japan brush pen. It's got it's an actual brush. You can do thin lines, you can do thick lines, you can do shading, all kinds of stuff with a single brush. Yes, it takes practice, but that's all it is practice. So, a spiral-bound book, you can flip over to a single page like this. A harder-bound book, this is still pretty flexible, but I forget what the name of this particular binding is, but a book that splits open like this, that is not spiral-bound. This you're kind of stuck with these two pages together, especially the hardcover ones are not as conducive to folding over, but these may be more durable in the long run than your spiral-bound one. I got this one because it had a metal cover, but the binding is garbage. And these things you'll find out with practice. The most important thing that I've found when you're selecting a sketchbook is to feel the tooth and weight of the paper. The weight is just that. There are different measurements, but it is how much a certain thickness of paper will weigh. Like 100 sheets of paper will weigh. So like 100 sheets of this really thick, heavy, toothy paper will weigh more than 100 sheets of this much thinner paper, and it's a much finer tooth. If you're going to be working with watercolor, with paint, you can actually do painting sketchbooks. You're going to want, you're going to want a paper that is nice and thick and heavy and can absorb lots of water. because otherwise your paper will get all kinds of distorted, especially when you're doing big washes. The paper will get warped. That's not going to do you a lot of good. I like this Canson mixed media one. I use this kind of a nice middle ground of like medium weight paper with nice, good, smooth, relatively smooth finish. Got a little bit of tooth to it. Good for ink. Good for light watercolor. I've taken this traveling. Took it to Japan. Took it to Germany. This is great. Not terribly expensive. This is Ansbach. But yeah, Canson mixed media is what you want to look for. But let's say you're working more in charcoal or pencil, then you will want a paper with a little bit grainier, a little bit more of a tooth. And I keep saying the word tooth, and it's the best way to describe it, since you're not going to be able to see up close terribly much, is using this saw blade, these saw blades. So that was a really toothy, heavier watercolor type paper. This is a much smoother paper. They make even smoother than this. It's called hot press watercolor paper, which is super smooth. But I want to show you what I mean by tooth. So these are two actual saw blades that I use. These are the teeth of the saw blades. This has 6 teeth per inch. You can count 6 of them. This has 18 teeth per inch, and they look pretty different. If you kind of zoom out, like, this doesn't feel too bad. Has a texture, but it's relatively smooth. This one has a heck of a lot more texture. Ow. So if you zoom in real close on this kind of paper, you can see this rougher, jaggedy kind of edge. For cold press paper or pastel paper, charcoal, graphite, that kind of stuff. And for pen, markers, inks, that kind of stuff, you'd want a smoother tooth paper. And then that hot press paper, I swear, feels like super, super smooth. I think they call them like vellum finish or something like that. But that's, for me, what I use is, as much as I don't like the binding of this book, I love the paper. It's a great sort of combination. You can see that it's kind of thin. I can do heavier inks on it, but it'll definitely bleed through. But if I'm only using one side, this is a great kind of in-between surface finish for inks and pencils, pens and pencils, but not like heavy watercolor stuff. If you're out and about in the world and you were like, what do I draw? Draw what you see. If you can't, your imagination doesn't work. This was me at patient first. I just sat there and started drawing the bench, and then went to the dentist and started drawing their coffee maker, waiting for stuff. But carry a little sketchbook with you. If it's pocket-sized, you're more likely to carry it with you at all times, and then just whip it out. Start drawing. This was in Ecuador, the Malacon in Guayaquil. I use it for notes, for writing, lots and lots of Ecuador. I use these for travel. But draw whatever you see. Waffle House. Like, yes, you can use it for writing. I used it, but I just carry it with you. Like, that's the whole point, is that every day you are doing some kind of art. You're using the muscles of your hands and your mind constantly. And the more you use them, like martial arts, sports, the more you use them, the more you practice, the better you'll get. And depending on how focused you want to get, depending on how much you want to sharpen your skills, you can have special dedicated practice. Like, today I'm just going to draw faces. Tomorrow I'm just going to draw fruits and vegetables. The next day I'm just going to do scale construction drawings. So those are dedicated, specific practices. Just like, any athlete who takes time to do dedicated field goal kicks, dedicated three-pointer throws, drills, that sort of stuff. It's all the same. How much you put into it is how much you get out of it. So if you're like, man, I really want to be an artist, Get yourself something to draw with, something to draw on, and start. Congratulations, you're an artist. Now, how far do you want to take that? There's a bunch of different materials and things, and you can spend a whole lot of money, or you can grab, like me, whatever's cheap. And you know me, I'm cheap. But just do it. Just do it. And you don't have to show anybody. You can keep these all to yourself. You know, some of these drawings are so bad that they'd never see the light of day. But do them. It is the doing that is important. And to paraphrase Kurt Vonnegut, you're doing it not to sell it, but to become. Unlike most other animals, we have the skill and the ability to create for creation's sake, not trying to attract a mate, not trying to defend a territory, but we're making as a pure act of expression. We are becoming. We are the echoes of the Big Bang ringing across time. That echo of creation is here and in here, and you have it. All you have to do is start. That's it. That is it. And I encourage you, and I beg of you to start in whatever way you can. Grab the cheapest little journal you can, grab the cheapest ballpoint pens you can, and just start. I can't wait to see what you come up with. Well, that's enough for me. Thank you for hanging out with me on this sunny day. I appreciate your patience with my difficulty speaking right now. But I hope you are safe and well fed wherever you are. I wish you mucho, mucho amor, and I cannot wait to see what you come up with. Cheers.